Yes, Alex, this is the Global Digest think tank group. Can you explain more about your blockchain?
I'm Alejandro Mantujano. I'm a GBA member. GBA stands for Government Blockchain Association. And we are focused on developing blockchain standards and best practices. And the issue, it arose like 6 or 7 years ago when we discovered that more than 90% of blockchain solutions developed in the world disappeared in less than 18 months. And we started just making research of what happened with those solutions. And we discovered that the issue is that they lack of foundations. Just imagine that we have we designed and built a 300-story skyscraper. And it's designed for places like the desert where there is no earthquakes. And you just build it in downtown Mexico City, and where earthquakes that not flourish, but the soil is quite different and not very acceptable for high buildings. So when there's the first earthquake, everything crumbles down. That's what happens with solutions, and they can be the best solutions with the best ideas and probably really solving interesting problems and urgent problems. The issue is how they are being designed, the lack of foundations. So that's what we start focusing on, and we are, by the way, I believe that we are still the only ones in the world that develop blockchain standards. In a research that United Nations made on 2017, yes, it was late 2017, they start searching in the world for organizations or companies that have standards and how they manage solutions. And they bumped with us by chance. And it was really by chance, let me tell you that, because they went to the big ones, they wouldn't find anything. So when they got to us, they discovered that we've been doing lots of things, and we were the only ones with a strong and a complete framework to help you develop or assess or review that the solutions being offered, the ones that you want to develop, are well created, well designed, and then you can see it's a trust solution. So they invite us to co-lead with them in the IGF, which is the Internet Governance Forum, a new working group. They call it the Dynamic Coalition, named BAS, which is Blockchain Assurance and Standardization. The main idea is that we can share with the world, with all the communities, for free the standards, because whenever you try to get a standard, you have to buy for it.
So you want to say other blockchain organizations, they don't have standard?
Well, I don't know the other ones, but we are the only ones that have standards, that develop standards. So we have like more than 50 different working groups who are focused on different standards, blockchain standards by domain, by industry, by topic. So what we do, we usually do is we work in a weekly basis, at least 1 hour for each of the working groups. So what we do is we gather all our members' realities into one reality, and all the problems into one problem. So then you have a reality of realities and a product of problems, that needs to be solved. So that's how we build the standard. The most important thing that in GBA we have like 2,000 government members distributed in 500 government organizations in different countries. We have a team based in Singapore. The Professor John Coy is one of the responsibles. And we have a team so that they can start getting more people into the group and sharing with us their problems. So when that happens, also we have like 4,500 members spread throughout the world. So just imagine the meetings we have to work together to define standards. So that maybe you can say sound like it's crazy, but we sometimes spend 1 hour just analyzing one paragraph because there are so many variables and aspects that needs to be included. So we have to discuss that really in a very confident way and openly way. So we have participation of different type of people from different type of governments, philosophies, cultures, and the most important thing is that we gather all together. We're like a big family, and I can tell you that we are a big family because we trust each other, and whenever I need help, and there's something going on in for example, Japan, I contact the guy there, and he helps me and with the team with the group. If it's in the States or in Spain, in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai, even Mexico, Brazil, or Chile, we
So
can say Africa.
where
So
is your GBA headquarters?
GBA is based in Washington D.C. and we have people all over the world. I mean, we're working on. We are private. We are
Right.
nonprofit organization, and we don't. We are not sponsored by no governments. We help governments develop their own solutions and solve their problems. So for example, we in the voting solution, we have a request that they of a country that needs help. So we just help training them to develop their own knowledge. And if they picked of developing their own solution or having it as a blockchain as a service and acquire the service of a company, and they can just start implementing it. But they have to understand what blockchain is, the standard they need to absorb it and understand it so they can implement it. So we guide them to develop their own RFQs. We don't develop solutions. We just guide and train. So the most important thing is we are looking for not only when we talk about blockchain, they only focus on decentralization of data, but they never talk about decentralization of knowledge and decentralization of wealth, which is the most important part. If we
So
don't understand that, everything.
basically, data house the blockchain happen.
Well, it all depends on how you have the information because, for example, if you have information in, let's say, retail, every part of the line you have of the food process you have information. So you have to gather information. Once you gather information, it's been like we call it. It's been uploaded to the to the blockchain. So it's been stored in the blockchain, and you can just start analyzing all that information and start defining where everything goes or how everything goes. And you can just trace. The most important thing in blockchain is that you have traceability and governance. So when you have, for example, let's say lettuce, you can give a follow-up, a self follow-up from the seed to the final customer that buys lettuce. So we have all this information. We have everything in place, and the most important thing is that it's online in real time. So you only have to press a button, and the information will tell you exactly what that lettuce started and what it finishes, and all the way it's been running. You can say that for the same thing, the same reason. For example, supply chain, any supply chain process, any production, and even boats, you can know exactly where everything comes, and it was you can say it's immutably and indisputable. So you know everything in place. But the issue
So
is
the
that
one you said, the earthquake, human disaster, like how the blockchain help and how the blockchain is able to involve in this disaster case, as you mentioned. You said you don't provide solution, but uh, you provide platform guideline or kind of information. So how blockchain is involved there and how it's helpful.
well We know that with blockchain, the most important thing is that you have information in place. You can trust information that it's not being modified or altered by anyone. So it's trusted. It's information can be trusted, and it's information that you can have it as indisputable. So, for example, if you have any disputes now within the Web2 between, for example, the supplier and the acquirer, then usually, let's say if it's Walmart, what the rules is that what Walmart says is the truth, even though the Walmart may be wrong. And with blockchain, there's no need for that because everything is in place and the information is in let's say it's in the air, so everyone can verify what any type of differences and find exactly who did the wrong thing and how this can be solved. So the most important thing is that you acquire the information, you have it there, so you can analyze it freely. Let me tell you, for example, we discovered that you cannot believe that, but if we develop a voting solution, it's so complex, and there's so many things that need to be verified every minute, and which is we discovered there are more than 100 different requirements that need to be fulfilled. So you can use this model to predict maybe how cancer cells develop in the body. You can also start just finding a way in which how why the demand got modified because of you performed several actions. Or you can say the weather is turning this crazy because we're seeing those things. You can even have a follow-up of the crop and match it with quality and timing and price. So there's so many things that which you can do with blockchain. And one of the most important things is that we avoid, or we comply with the UN development goals. So in different ways, because you can use blockchain to solve problems and human problems. So you can prepare blockchain to solve disasters or to prevent disasters. It doesn't matter which type of disaster. It can be, for example, an energy disaster, or it can be a water disaster, or it can be a climate disaster. The information is the most important thing is you have the information, so you can start understanding it and analyzing the information.
Where it is keep data.
Okay, well, data is everywhere, and the most important part is we have the data. You have the data, and for example, in the past, if I was an employee and you are the human resources are responsible, and I want my file, my personal file, you will never give it to me. You say, what do you want that for, Alejandro? Are you going to sue me? Forget it. And now with blockchain, the information is from the ones that generated. If I work for you, what I did, my output is for the company. But all the things that I invested in, which my time and knowledge, my experience, the positive issues that I get or not, and I got recognized, and my salary and the taxes and everything I paid for, it's mine. So the information is spread everywhere. The most important thing is where do you want to keep that information? So the most important thing is whoever is the owner or the doer or the creator, that's where the information is. The most important thing is where are we going to store that information? Because as a human, we have information spread everywhere. It's in the government. For example, if we talk about Walmart, all the information is centered in Columbus, Georgia, I believe. So it's where no, it's in Bentonville. It's in Bentonville, where all the cities are hold the data center, where they store the information. With blockchain, the information is stored in the network, in the cloud. Let's say that it's everywhere in data center.
So it's not only one place. The data is stored, is decentralized, right? In Mexico, Colombia,
Yes,
USA, many countries.
yes, yes. It's where the information is generated. You usually have data centers where they can store the information, and even in a data center, the information is not there. I mean, we have, for example, if you work with AWS, you can get servers spread throughout the world. If you are a bank, you need to have the information spread all over the world because your clients are everywhere. We just give guidance and support to whoever needs it. What happens is that as you have in what we have in Web2, like the SWIFT and Visa, MasterCard, and all the banking institutions gathering with the central banks. In blockchain, we're developing is the banking and financial industries is developing something similar to that. But the issues that in banking and finance in blockchain is like the old Wild West in the US. You know, those cowboys with guns and power, and because it's a mess. If we don't have standards in place, there's no way that we can trust each other. There are different solutions being developed throughout the world, maybe for payments. So you can send forward money to other one in let's say in seconds or minutes.
Right.
And in the Swift standard way, it takes you almost 2 days or more. So we need to find a way in which we need to include everyone in the standard. You know, in the early 90s, we didn't have standards. I know you are too young to remember that or to know that. And because we don't have any standards, not for energy, not for communications, not for even for data centers, for structured cabling, or for even for construction. So when we as an industry gather and knew that discovered that the beauty of being integrated and having standards, I can tell you in the first 5 years, I mean, it's in the mid 90s, the industry grew like 500% as a whole. I mean, we're talking about telecommunications, data centers, computers, our networks, our communications, and energy. So everything grew exponentially because we started to learn that interoperability is the most important way of working.
Right. I don't know whether the blockchain is legal or it's illegal, or how did you see how's the status of blockchain?
Okay,
Legal status.
well, blockchain is legal everywhere. But when you talk about cryptos, that's where the things start getting interesting because we need to have a foundation. If you cannot, if you design a project in which you want to launch a cryptocurrency, you need to have the support and the foundation so that you can give trust. This is that, for example, that's what is happening in the States. You want to develop a crypto that is instead of being, let's say, like treated like a share, you define it as a bond. So the difference is quite the opposite. So it's great. So just imagine that you need to find out first. You have to start with a real asset characteristics, and even though it's tangible or tangible, and then you have to match it to the digital asset, which is quite different. You have to be very careful on the asset taxonomy that you are going to pick, but you need to include and get involved with accountants and attorneys because they are the ones that know exactly how everything works in accounting and the legal side. If you lack of these foundations, then something is going to go wrong. That's what been happening. Also, you have heard that, for example, the case of FTX, which is it was the only thing that has in Web3 in blockchain were the products. The basic operation was Web2. It was like a usual exchange. the stock exchange that operates in the world in Web2. You can get in and modify the systems and the attributes and the requirements. In blockchain, you cannot do that because once it's in place, that's what the smart contracts are for. No one can move it. No one can do anything but just to keep in operation. No one can get in and modify anything. So that's why
Is
we need, yeah.
is crypto is a part of blockchain?
Well, yes, crypto is one of the maybe a million products that you can develop with blockchain. It's one tiny part. And the worst thing is it gets with money, with resources. So you have to bring trust to avoid any scams. And I don't know that there are lots of people that say that don't want to be ruled. I don't want to be controlled. But who's going to have the certainty of things? How can you have trust? Give trust to other ones. If you don't explain how things are done. If it's a scam, it's a scam.
Right.
But
Is
you need to
is
comply with basic rulings. And we by the way develop a model of digital asset and exchanges law. And we present that in the IGF in the UN IGF conference. So it's like the framework of the law, so the countries don't have to invest in research because we already did it. So you can just get in, analyze it, and just modify it and adjust it and customize it according to your requirements, your laws, or even the culture. But you have the framework. So that would be really interesting because once everything is in place, we can talk each other transparently, clearly. So we can trust each other. Now there's a lot of things that don't let us trust each other. No one trusts
right,
each other in the
right,
world.
especially financial service, blockchain, crypto, people has very difficult to trust or it's risky or how is safety or how the company can guarantee their money if they deposit money in the blockchain, the crypto.
Different issues, and maybe you can. That's where the couple of things gets in because we have the political way of doing things, and you have interest, economic interest, fights among countries, and wars and all that stuff. So everyone wants to prevail. Everyone says this is the best solution for everyone in the world. And that can be not that, that cannot be done. Just imagine we still were working with the 90s culture that IBM was the greatest company. We will still be using this thick cable cable to connect tandems or mainframes with dumb computers, with dumb terminals. When we understand that working as a team, as a group, it's better because we can integrate and communicate each other. That's what we need to tend. And it's I know it's going to be a long way for that, but we need to just start just building the connections. So that's why we are just contacting all the countries in the world that wants to adopt or wants to have a adopt about blockchain, to start just getting in touch with them and start training them and letting them know. It's like evangelizing the people, evangelizing governments. Because once they have on the back of their minds what blockchain is, whenever they bump with a problem, say, hey, I can use this the blockchain for solving this. Oh, let's find out. And that's what we've been doing with governments. We have just been started with developing projects with universities, research centers, innovation centers, so that they can start training their students, their companies, their professionals. Because blockchain.
So the government will provide security or guarantee or endorse the blockchain company. But technically, well, the money can lose or the money can never lose.
Well, now you can, if you make a mistake in your key, the money just gone, just Just find out what's been going on with Bitcoin. If you key in one wrong character, the money vanishes. You don't know where the money went. It's in the limbo, let's say it, and you cannot recover it. So that's the things that we need to correct. It's
So
like a bank.
it can be lost, if something wrong, if technical. So the government has to be responsible if some technical problem, if any blockchain mistake.
That's a very interesting question, because is blockchain as blockchain is everywhere, and if we're talking about cryptos, no one is going to have the control over the currency because it's in the market, and the communities and the market is the one that has the control of the operation. Then who's going to, if something bad happens, well, you need to have something in place in case that something happens. And the community needs to have something in place to correct it and solve it. For example, I know, have you heard about DAOs? They're huge. Just imagine it's a huge company, but in the air. It does not exist physically. It's integrated by persons throughout the world. There's one international DAO that we're developing with the UN for blockchain purposes and one for standards, so everyone can be part of the DAO. So everyone is responsible, everyone is partner, everyone is the owner. So we need to have the regulations and the bylaws in place. So when something happens, there needs to be a way out, and a process to solve it. That's a complex things of DAOs. And for example, the DAO that we're developing, it took us like almost a year to develop the bylaws. Because it's so complex that if you make a mistake, everything went wrong. Just imagine if I miss 1 cent, where the cent goes. You need to find a way to find it. And if it was disbursed incorrectly, you need to have it back. How are we going to do that? That's the bylaws. So in order to do these things, we need to integrate all it's my wife says that I'm a romantic, because I say, well, we can do things in the future. Just imagine that we forgot about wars and political positions, and if I am from the left or the right, I'm just for the people, and look for all our benefit, so we can benefit each other. Everything is going to be win-win. Why can't we not have it? That's humanity, but we need to evolve, and that's what the blockchain.
How do you think if intergovernment agency initiate the blockchain, like UN or financial sector like IMF, World Bank, if they initiate the blockchain, it will safe?
It's a complex topic, because the IMF, the World Bank, and the central banks, they want to keep the control of the money, and it's saying practically, and you know that the money does not exist. There's a clip of the Three Stooges where in the late 50s, where there are three of them say, hey, I earned $20. Oh, you owe me the second one says, oh, you owe me $20. Just pay me. So that he pays him, and then the debit's zero. And then the third stooge said, oh, you owe me 20. So then the second one pays to the third one 20. And the third one remembers, oh, I owe he owes $20 to the first stooge. So, well, I owe you $20. I pay you. So they with one bill, they pay the debts of everyone. So in reality, the money does not exist. The more we print, we're printing in the air. We change this the gold backup of money. So the money is because we trust. We trust our government. We trust the governments. Even though we have like there's no wealth in some countries, like let's say, unfortunately, for example, there's a rich Venezuela is a rich country, but it's been so badly managed that the currency the value is like it's less than this. So if you don't have the correct rules in place and you don't understand that we are really evolving, and the most important thing is that we have our wealth and we can generate our own wealth and share it. We don't need someone to control us. We don't need a cop. If we behave well, we don't need a cop. The issue is, are we willing to behave well as humanity? And that's the romantic side, as my wife always says to me. And
Right.
because we need to evolve, and maybe blockchain is a new operating system that can turn things around. Because you can create economy where a circular and virtual economy where no one because where it's not where it does not exist now. For example, if we're talking about water, their resources, the governments don't have resources for investing in pipes and water treatment and just reprocessing the water. They lack of resources.
Right.
Well, let me tell you that if you tokenize water, then you can create a circular economy where it does not exist. You can bring wealth. And you can start just reprocessing water and assigning the costs where they need to be.
Right.
And guess what? You can reward the people that saves, and we can charge more for the people that use a lot of water. But
Right.
that virtuous circle will create economy. It's a more complex process, but it's the same thing that we can use blockchain to create virtual economies where there are none. It doesn't matter
Right.
who we can just you can start with natural resources, which are very scarce, or you can get even with air.
Right. So how's
Okay.
your company? What's your idea about blockchain and democracy?
Well, democracy is quite interesting conversation because let's settle a background. In the recent years, we have seen that many countries have changed drastically from the political line. We have seen going from right to left and then backwards. And in all cases, we found out that the changes obey to different excesses, abuses, disappearance of human rights, disappearance of independent institutions, and also the lack of attention of citizens. When the people don't want to mess with politics, the politicians have the risk of doing whatever they want, and then they tend to avoid doing public investment in the country. So they stop generating benefits to their own citizens, to the companies and individuals, and they stop promoting growth. This lack of economic improvement have been one of the the most important denominators, because citizens get into despair, and the only way they start distrusting the governments, and they don't have any way out. They can find any way out.
You know, on the other side, we have been facing extremism, political extremism, whether it's from the right or for the left, is the same thing, because they destroy their economies, they leave the countries without any resources, and the citizens without benefits, which are the most important things. So you see the also the lack of investment in education and in promotion, and they don't have a way out because there are no resources. And how does the blockchain work here? Let me tell you, I believe that it is a new operating system that will revitalize only mainly the world's economies in a way that if we can create a circular economy where there is none today, this will generate resources that they do not exist today. And then we can start generating tangible benefits to the citizens and to the companies, and even for entire society and even for the government. According to Don Tapscott, which is CEO of Blockchain Research Institute of Canada, he's also a GBA member. In a presentation that he made in May in the future of money, governance, and the law in Washington, he mentioned that those type of abuses from the governments, from even the people, they were just we have made possible that we have a predatory and uncontrolled capitalism. This predatory capitalism is like where the law protects like the old Wild West, that's the stories of the U.S. in the 1880s, and the power dominate everything. So the abuses of companies and abuses of the government with the people, they devastated the entire community, the entire world. So this implies that we need to redesign the way capitalism is being governing. We need, and I don't want to be considered just going to the socialism or to the left or sides. We need to make capitalism runs better in a way that it can be more social. That we can include and share. Social means that we can include the people to have the capacity to develop their own wealth and grow and get better, and let's like decentralizing a wealth.
So how
and
can you
avoid
say
that these big companies.
how can you say your blockchain can contribute social welfare?
Well, let me tell you that once you have blockchain in place in any given process, everything is traced, everything is regulated, everything complies and has a governance. So when you have compliance and governance and a clear activities and responsibilities, and everything runs under the same laws, there's no way that we cannot obtain benefits. It doesn't matter the type of solution or the product or service. If it runs on the blockchain, we are going to have lots of benefits. The issue is that we must have everything in place. That means the law, the regulations, so people just can start getting the benefits. We need to avoid the scams and the abuses. And the only way that we have is blockchain, because in every process that we have in Web2, there's always people that wants to see the loop and break the law and have benefits. But if there's no way, if everything is fair, and again, my way says that I'm a romantic because I always think about blockchain, but that's the only way that we have to share wealth and start just generating more advance in each country and all the world. So when you start with blockchain, you decentralize information, data. But with blockchain, we can decentralize knowledge and wealth.
I see.
That's something that nobody talks about. You know, after this long introduction, let me tell you that all these negative activities or actions that the governments do in the regard of the side, the political side they are in, they bring only disillusion and frustration to the citizens. And the only tool they have to complain is through the voting, so through the elections. In other words, as Don Tapscott said, democracy is in danger. Because whenever there's a change, radical change in the governments, the politicians don't just say, I have the right to do everything I want. So instead of having something more balanced, they change radically to the other side. You can see countries in America that have changed from right to left in the last 30 years or 50 years or more, to the Caribbean, to the Central in South America, and a new one that has returned from the populist side to the right, with huge results. But they need to understand that it's not that I made something wrong and I need to change. It's how I'm going to change. How can I be inclusive and balance what I did and correct what I did in the past? And the other way is the only way that we have is through the let's say it's a blockchain way of thinking. When you want to bring people and have trust, then the only way is to develop a system solution that brings indisputable election that can be trusted. So from any part of the process, everything is being securely developed. And you can comply with laws, all the type of regulations. You also need to comply with security for the people that physical security, the ones that are voting. But we have so many different limitations that we have in any country that we need to do something. And we develop, GBA only develops blockchain standards and best practices. And we were conscious about this problem in the last 5 or 6 years, because we witnessed how the imbalance just breaks instead of order, just creating more disorder. And people just get desperate because instead of voting for something that can bring them peace and benefits, they discover that they vote for the wrong candidate. So when you have rumors of corruption, rumors of just managing elections, with blockchain, a voting a solution on the blockchain assures you that there are not going to be any problems. You will have confidence that all the things that were done during the voting process were done correctly according to the law. But a voting solution is not like I go to the poll and I vote. It's far way more complex. We have identified maybe 120 different requirements that need to comply in a blockchain solution. And we found out that most of the solutions in the market, they only comply with maybe 15%, because they don't go to the details. I know that there's different limitations because maybe as in the state, you have different states and even countries that control their vote, elections. You have a huge complex regulations, like for example in Mexico, that we have the constitution, specific laws for voting, for controlling the information, and a lot of things that we need to have.
Can you say Mexico is a democracy country, or it's more linked to the socialism? How do you say Mexico?
Well, I'm forbidden to talk about politics, but let me tell you, I live in Mexico, and You know, we in 2018, we have the opportunity to change the way the country was going. It was huge corruption, lots of bad things, and excessive, maybe the pervasive capitalism was there. And someone offered to do something for the people and just make the country better. But we faced a populist, which instead of doing the correct things, they went to the opposite side. And now the country, you can see it's just the democracy is here, but guess what? There was a lot of news in the newspapers that the votes were bought, and even the bad people just getting involved, and the government also get involved, and it was a huge mess. So now you mentioned Mexico. Like last year, I got interested in getting in contact with the INE, Institute of National Elections in Mexico, to sell them the idea to acquire or to develop a blockchain solution, because they were attacked by the government, and they were corrupt, and they managed elections, and they did not. By the way, the INE was one of the most respected organizations, autonomous organizations in the world, and also they were respected in Mexico, because you can trust your ID and the way that they are doing things. The issue is that they know that they were attacked. And it took me like 6 months to explain them how a blockchain works. And even though we don't develop solutions, we just give them the background and the requirements so they can develop their own tenant, the international licitation. And they did it. And because of the timing, they didn't have the chance to deploy the solution in the country. And even they have two options. One is acquiring, developing their own solution, which will take them maybe 5 years because it's too complex, or just to acquire like a blockchain as a service solution, which they did it.
Blockchain is legal in Mexico.
Well, blockchain is legal everywhere. The only products and services that are illegal in most countries in the world are the cryptocurrencies. Because a government cannot prohibit you to develop your own system, let's say an accounting, supply chain, ERP, or any type of solution that you want in blockchain. Because it's the same thing as doing in Web 2. You choose to do it in Web 3. The most important thing is that you comply with the regulations.
Right.
If you want to do something like finance and fintech and all that stuff, you need to have a license. It's very complex to get one, but once you have it, you're ready to just develop products and services. The only limitations is if you try to manage cryptos.
So by the way, you are GBA and you are in Mexico. So what are your day-to-day activity of your GBA program?
Well, we start doing several things. We know that even though the government is not very interested in developing blockchain solutions to solve problems, I mean, personally, I don't care what they want. We need to share with the people the knowledge in order that we can avoid scams and abuses, and make the people, we need to make the people worry about the problems. And once you have, as the US friend said, that once you have blockchain on your back of your mind, whenever you face a problem, you can now start defining different ways of solving them. So our main objective is to train people, even from students, professionals, companies, and even governments, to know how to use blockchain. Once you know how to adopt it and to implement it, with using the standards on the back. Everything must run easily and evenly. And this process, it takes really a lot of time because you have to convince on your universities, which are very square in the way that they do the programs. So we start just partnering with some schools, universities to develop their own blockchain practice. Let's say that. So we start like a training or certifying the researchers and the professors, and help them develop content in courses and use cases so they can train the students.
Do you charge for training fee?
Okay, well, let me tell you, what we're doing is that we have some agreements with a couple of, now there are two blockchain layer ones. One is from the new one just developed in Mexico, which is the first blockchain layer one developed in the region. And another which is BlockSite. And the other one is Permalabs, developed by one of our members in the company is based in UK. And we are just in the negotiations of partnering with another layer one from Singapore that will help us develop more solutions. They are going to fund some solutions so we can just start integrating the schools. So in that way, we train them to develop their own solutions and train them to offer the blockchain solution for their localities to solve maybe government problems or private or public, and go to with companies and offer them a solution. And I just go with them and try to explain what blockchain is, and once we know what it really hurts, we propose something for them. And if we sell that, the one that is selling it is the school. And I'm only focusing on public schools. I don't treat much with private schools, because the guys from public school, the students, they have the hunger to grow and understand and learn. So we use that to support them. So once we start just creating this symbiosis between blockchain, the school, and the companies, then you have support, and you can start building your own knowledge base, blockchain knowledge base. We use real use cases, and if, for example, if we need something that we don't have the experience in the region or in the country, or in the members that we live in Mexico, we can just look out in the US or in the world and bring someone in, just maybe a senior instead of a company of 20 guys. So when we have a senior, they are going to guide the researchers and the teams we build with students to develop a solution.
So the training through the contract, right? Something like that.
Yes, well, the idea is that even though we were going to support them and we need to at least pay for the basic costs, the most important thing is that the schools develop their own solutions. So once they start developing solutions, they're going to start growing their own benefits and wealth. So one of the last portions is that once we have one of the schools measured by semesters, so they have to develop a project every 6 months. So if we have 5 teachers or 5 professors, they're going to have at the end of the year 10 projects. These 10 projects are going to be submitted to the in GPA we have every in our November event, we bring in a group of investment angels. So they just review and assess different projects, and the ones that wins, they support them. So we want to develop that capacity and share it with that group of investors. And if one wins,
you're working on data center.
Well, my specialty from the last 20 years was developing and creating data centers and the whole infrastructure. And for me, it's quite easy because blockchain requires what the data center is. We need to have everything operating in 99.995% in a year. So we have to define that. But when we start developing the projects, we don't only deal with engineers, with the coders, with developers. We deal with the business guys. Because once you have the business impact, and you have the definition of the real world asset characteristics, it doesn't matter if it's tangible or intangible, then you have to match it to the digital with the digital asset. And there's that taxonomy, which is not the same with the digital. And but how do you do that? Well, you have to include accountants, business guys, economists, and lawyers, because they are the ones that know exactly what we can do or what we cannot do. Because you want to develop, for example, a digital asset for finance, and we want, for example, to be a bond, and we finish with a utility token or even a share. The difference is quite abysmal. So you need to guide them. So that's why we need accountants, lawyers, engineers to be working together and give them the guidance so they can develop their own tokenomics. Tokenomics for me is not some say that the economy of a token, but for us is the the business plan, but in Web3, which is quite more complex with some different components that need to be match indirectly and with a sense of reality. Because in Web2, we know everything is done in Excel, and Excel works except for reality. Because in Excel, everything adds and zooms, but when you start implementing it, the scope, for example, in the Web2, it's 5-year scope, because that's the time that we usually define the time when we are going to recover our investment. But in blockchain, it's quite different because it's the view is long-term, a long-term view. So you have to secure that the funds are going to be in place for every month, for every year, for the maybe next 20 years or 10 years. So in that way of thinking, the business plan changes dramatically. And also, as opposed to the Web2, we in Web3 there's a new requirement. How I'm going to thank my community for acquiring my products? How do I understand their needs, what they're worried about, what they care about, so that we can focus on? And maybe discover that my community, my end users are worried about from elders, or maybe cancer, illness, or any arthritis, or whatever, maybe just worrying about the lost dogs. So any type of business solutions, we can, if you buy me something, if I sell you a dollar, I will give you this percentage of that dollar, this amount of cents, and give it to the organization that you want. And everything is in blockchain. Every cent that is given to that organization is routed in a way that it cannot be disbursed any different that we have just warranty, because there are also smart contracts.
Where is GBA data center usually?
Well, let me tell you, GBA as a nonprofit, we have information in I believe it's, I don't know in which data center is, but we have different members that offer us support. So we are not in only one data center, because everything needs to be decentralized. Because if you, for example, you have everything in AWS, then it's not decentralized, because something happens with AWS, then the network is going to shut down. So that's the beauty of decentralization, that we, according to the scope and the size of the solution, is where you need to put in place the nodes. And all units also need to need the distribution, not only from the network, but in the company, in the country. For example, you cannot have more than 25% control of the nodes. And also there's a limitation because of the size, that you cannot have maybe 25% in the country, because it's worldwide. It depends on the solution. And you and according to the volume, you need to have certain number of nodes. Maybe they're ones that just the transmitting nodes, but you need to also have validator nodes. So every needs to be in place. So you cannot have a network, like, for example, Ethereum last year was discovered 90% of the nodes were in the States and were in their possession. That's why they changed the strategy and started just making agreements with AWS and other data centers.
And
So they
also,
can.
you said the blockchain asset management. Are you directly dealing with blockchain asset management? Did you involve it?
Yes, for example, we have different working groups assigned to different domains. We have the architecture working group, which would develop a part of the standard, a supplement, in which deals with that part of the topic. How are you going to decentralize things? How are you going to monitor things? We're just developing a white paper to bring blockchain into the data centers in a way that nobody sees it. Because whenever, every month, you can see that there are new equipments and new requirements to getting more capacity, process capacity, energy requirements, and cold air distribution. So they need to everything fit in place. But you cannot start just growing and growing and growing in a way that maybe you can have in the past, like you say 4.5 gigawatts. Now the data centers are just growing like 30 or more. This requires a lot of management. The help desk, I've seen a couple of data centers. The help desk is really going crazy because they cannot manage 2,000 servers. And having problems at the same time, you can have more than 2 people just in front of one enclosure. So the requirements and the criticality of the processes and the operations need to be attended in a different way. So we are just develop a project in I believe it's in North Carolina, in which we're going to help a company build a big data center.
You mean
So we're trying
blockchain asset management in Carolina?
Yes, we have the asset management. We have I believe there's a working group. Yes, it's the blockchain asset management, and it's headed by Stacy Ferris and Alison Moffitt. One is an accountant, and the other one's a lawyer, and they're really awesome. I will introduce you to them so that you can interview them, because they are so great, and they develop a course for blockchain digital assets. So you can just understand things in a different way. For example, a token project. We don't have a token specialist in Mexico because there's no crypto authorized here. So we have to forward the assessment to the people in the States, or it depends in Europe, or if we have found out that, for example, a company in Mexico decided to send their operations to Dubai. So now the asset management is being dealt by and guided by a company named iBlockchain, which is based in Bahrain. which is a blockchain company, and also a GBA member. And they can do assessments, they can guide and also give advice to the companies that are reporting the asset management. Because it's so complex. And everything, as I mentioned, deals with the digital asset taxonomy.
So GBA is a collection of many blockchain company. It's a kind of global association.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
it means different blockchain company has different capacity and different set of skill, and they are doing different things. Is right?
Yes, yeah. We have like for the private side of the members, we are like 4,500 different members distributed throughout the world. So you have members in America, in Europe, in Asia, in Oceania, and the Far East. So we have members everywhere. So, and we are all days we're dealing with the blockchain issues. So I don't like the word expert, but we deal every day with problems. And I'm being the director of global ops. And so you need to understand what the problems are going and how you can give advice. So then I just have time that I need someone to do this and that for the company in that region. So we just started like matching all the members with the requirements. And as I am from GBA, I never talk about my company with clients. I give them advice how we can support them and give them the help they require so that they can just develop their own solution, the face a problem in a different way. That's a very different way that the other associations, associations do the work in the world. Because we're the only ones that are objective, and we just help them develop solutions for the problems without being paid. Because we only give advice, and the advice has a cost, but it's not a huge developing the project. And we have really important and very knowledgeable guys. I mean, we have great guys. I mean, I told you about Stacey Ferris and Alison Moffitt. We have one of the greatest economists and lawyers, which is Chris Smith-Meyer, and Gerard the Shep or Dodding, Dino Delacchio. I mean, there are so many guys around the world that really know about blockchain. They're the experts. I mean, and I'm just a small boy that smaller boy that is learning every day. But these guys have the great experience and time.
Thank you.